Meku, Vickie Jeffries, Omeklaklese, Wa Occaneechi Saponi Sahį, Watima Graham, North Carolina. Welcome, my name is Vickie Jeffries and I'm with the Occaneechi Band of Saponi Nation. I'm an enrolled member. And today we will be doing a bison bake. And I will go through the ingredients that we will need to create this bake. So you will need ground bison. You can use any type of noodles that you want, but I'm using elbow noodles today. And I'm using canned spaghetti sauce. And we also have some sharp cheddar cheese to go in there. And we'll be also using salt and pepper to taste. And we'll be cooking the ground bison in vegetable oil. And we'll also be having a side salad of mulberries, spinach, yarrow, bergamot, and mint. And that will be a side salad. Very delicious complement to the ground bison. And we set the oven at 375. And we'll be baking this bison bake for about 25 minutes, 20 to 25 minutes. And I just want to caution you, when you're using raw food, just make sure that you wash your hands before and after so you don't contaminate your other foods. So let's begin. And I'm going to put the noodles into the boiling water so they can be boiling as we're preparing the bison. I'm just going to give it a little stir just to stir the noodles around a little bit there. So now we're going to be doing the bison. So I have the vegetable oil that I'm going to put into the frying pan. And you can kind of determine how much oil you want in here. One thing about bison is that it doesn't need a lot of oil. It actually, if you think about hamburger, how hamburger has a lot of oil in it after you cook it, the bison is totally different from that. Since I have to touch that iron there, I'm going to rinse my hands off again. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take one of these spoons and I'm just going to kind of break it up. And another thing I want to note that bison does not take as long to cook as hamburger. Plus it's more nutritious. Make sure you don't have your eye too high because you just don't want to brown it and you want to make sure it's cooked thoroughly through. And this makes delicious tacos too. And another variation with this, you can also use hamburger meat if you like. Let that simmer just a little bit. And it's a good thing to stir your noodles. Just don't let them just cook because they can get stuck on the bottom. Loosen them up so they can cook better. It looks like they're doing good. I'm not going to add any seasonings to the meat. I will add it once we put it into the casserole dish because this way, you know how to do the taste test to make sure that, because some meats and stuff have their natural salt in it already. So you just never want to oversalt your food because if you oversalt your food, there's no way you can get it unsalted. When I'm satisfied that I'm not seeing any type of red or anything that's not done, then I'm satisfied that it's cooked. I was always told when you're cooking, don't look at it as something, a drudgery, that it's something that you're preparing that people are going to eat and enjoy. And so you should enjoy cooking it. So don't cook with bad thoughts because your food might come out bad. So our bison is all set. And I just want to show you of all the oil that I put in there, this is all we have left in there. We prepared our bison. And so now we're waiting for our noodles. So we're going to give it the old squeeze test again. You stick your finger in it and see if it's ready. There we go. Yep, it's ready. Right. So I'm going to move the pot over here. Cut that eye off. And I'm just going to start straining. You ever notice sometimes when you do use strainers, you get a lot of water left in it. And, it kind of takes away from everything. But I like doing this. And when I get down sort of to the bottom, I start pouring water off. Without throwing all your pasta in there, I used to watch my mother do this a million times. And she never wavered, you know, she never dropped any of the pasta because that might have been my dinner, you know. So now that we got our noodles in here, we're going to start. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to take our bison, and we've already cooked it and it's drained, and so we're just going to pour that on top like that. Okay. So we got our bison there. And I just kind of mix things as I go along instead of taking one big, you know, like put all the ingredients in and then mix it. So I just kind of mix it as it goes along. And I just have to note when you're doing this type of dish, and this does not smell like hamburger, it smells like bison, and it smells good. So at this point, I'm just going to add some pepper to taste. And you kind of, I never measure anything. I just kind of do. To me, it already smells good, you know. I could put some gravy on it and eat it right now. All right. And so now our next thing is that we actually have 2 cans of the sauce. So we'll see how much sauce we need. So we're going to just slowly pour the first can over. And we're just going to gently mix it, you know, to see if it coats well enough or if we need both cans. And you can be the judge of that. You know, you might like yours with a lot of sauce in it, or you might like less sauce in it, but you can be the judge of that, you know, as you're cooking it, whether or not you want more. You can use 1.5 cans, you can use 2 cans. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and add some more of the second can of the sauce. I might not use it all, so I stop and then I kind of mix it again, because I don't like for it to be dry, so you want it to be a little juicy there when you're eating it. And I think that what the sauce that I have in here is good. So I put like 1.5 cans of the sauce in there. But as I said, you know, if you want to put both cans in there, that's fine. And then you know what I do next? I have to do the taste test. So I go on the side, and this is all cooked. Nothing is raw. So don't say, oh no, she's gonna eat raw food. It is all cooked. And I'll leave. Yep, and that is perfect. And now the last thing that we're gonna do, since this is already done, we're just gonna actually just bake it just a little bit. And then what I'm gonna do, we have our cheese. Now, and this is just regular sharp cheddar cheese that you can use, and it's shredded. So there's like another way you can do it. You can either mix it throughout this, or you can put it on the top, whatever you prefer. But if you're going to put it on the top, put it in the oven for just maybe about 10 minutes just to get it really hot, and then put your cheese on the top. I find out when you put the cheese on the top, it really bakes it. So when you cut into it, you got that nice creamy cheese on top, and you know, you have your bison and you got your macaroni and everything else on the bottom. So what we're going to do now is the oven's at 375. We're just going to put it in for maybe about 10 minutes just to get it hot. And then the rest of the cooking time, we will put the cheese on and then let that cheese melt. And there's no, you don't have to put aluminum foil on this. So we're going to go ahead. Give it about 10 minutes, you know, 10 to 15 minutes just to get a nice heat on it. And then we're going to add the cheese on top of that. And that'll be our next step. And believe it or not, we're almost complete with this dish. Ooh, and we're going to bring it over here. And I can already smell it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take the cheese and we're going to sprinkle it on the top of here. And this cheese will melt really quickly. So we're going to keep a watch on it as we have it in the oven. Now, if you're a cheesy person, you can put two of these on there. But if you're not a really cheesy person, you know, one will do. But of course, it's up to you. It's up to your liking and what you would like to have on there. So now we have the cheese all covered on the bake. And now we're going to put it back into the oven until the cheese has a nice melted glaze on it, which won't take long. So I'm going to go ahead and put it back in the oven. And we're actually going to keep a watch on it just so that we don't get the cheese too bubbly. So it should take that long for the cheese to melt. In the meantime, we are going to make a side salad. So we have the ingredients. We have fresh spinach. We have mulberries. We have mint. We have some yarrow. And we have some bergamot. So what I'm going to do is I got a spoon to kind of mix everything. So I'm going to take the mulberries. I'm just going to cut them down a little bit like this. And as I do it, I'm just going to put them in the salad. And you can decide how many you want, or, you know, if you have another type of fruit that you want to put on there, I'm sure that's going to be acceptable too. Gives it that little color, that little pizzazz and everything. And you know it's packed full of vitamins too, so this is a good thing. You know, sometimes you got to be creative with your salads, and you can imagine, like, say, something that you would normally put in it. Go ahead and do it because it turns out really well. So I'm actually going to just take the mint, and I'm going to kind of just break it just a little bit in here. And it, oh my gosh, any mint will do, but and you have to think about this. This is medicine going into a bowl too. So you have to think about all that. That when you do this, that you're actually getting some vitamins, some medicine going on here. And then we're going to take some yarrow. And yarrow is also a healing medicine. You know, it's good for cuts and different things, but it's also healing. So what I'm going to do, I like to kind of break them up a little bit so you can get the full effect. And I'm just using my hands and just breaking it up some. And we're going to use some of the tops of them. Isn't that pretty though? Look at that. I mean, how beautiful is nature that they provide all this. This is $1,000 salad, believe me. And then we have some bergamot. Isn't that pretty? So we're going to actually put some bergamot on here. I'm going to use the tops because they look so pretty. Oh my gosh, look at that. Oh. If you were in a restaurant, this would be a pricey salad. And this is all forage items. Everything is forage. And you don't have to put a dressing on it. You can eat it like this, but if you prefer, you know, you can put a dressing on it lightly so that you don't lose all the flavors in it. So, all right, so we've put the cheese on the Bison bake, and now it's time to take it out the oven. And it's been in there for probably about 10 minutes. So it should be ready. Ah, yeah, it looks good. And there is our Bison bake. How quick and easy was that? And as I said, if you even do this a day before and don't put your cheese on, but you can do the whole bake, and then when you get ready to put it in the oven, put your cheese on and then just let it melt. So this is the Bison bake. This is the side salad. And I want to thank you again for viewing this video and looking at this beautiful food that you can prepare in no time. Thank you so much.